This episode is brought to you by Sword Tiling, lead tiling specialists in the Northeast, covering all aspects including commercial and domestic. They've got you covered. So head to sword_tiling on Instagram and tell them St. James's Pod sent you. Welcome back to another Cup special, St. James's Pod. This week we'll be going over our trip down to Hillsborough in the FA Cup, as well as hosting Leicester in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. I'm joined as usual by Pete and Alex. How are you two boys doing?
Spot on, mate.
Fantastic.
Alex, you look like you've lost a bit of weight around your face, man.
Block the sink as well. Beards off.
And we're joined by special guest Mr. Jordan Kerr this week. Jord, thanks for coming on.
Hi, pleasure to be on. Happy to discuss with two and a half men. Looking forward to it.
Men.
Covering for Tom while he's on.
You want to get invited back?
Bender. Just before we start, Jord, I know you listen to the podcast and you're a big fan, but just remember, we're just normal guys. You don't need to feel intimidated.
I'm trying not to show my nerves,
rubbing shoulders with Adam P at the weekend in Sheffield.
Where were you not? No, he actually came up with and asked if you could get a photo, so we're trying to kind of oblige.
I had to decline and coming on the podcast, so unfortunately. Alright, don't slag him off. Alright,
never meet
podcast rival, mate. Podcast rival, what we're talking
about? let's get into the Sheffield game. So, as usual, let's talk about the starting lineup. And not as usual, Eddie Howe made a lot of changes. So this is going to be slightly tough because we've obviously got to cast our minds back to before this FA Cup game. We were all probably excited for it. We're wanting to do cup runs. Pete, I know you went on the preview, and Joel, obviously you went, but most of us were saying we wanted to attack the FA Cup just as hard as the Carabao Cup. So when you saw that starting lineup with the 8 changes, I'll start with you, Pete, seeing as you weren't on the last episode. What were you thinking?
Carabao was in mind. Simple as that. He's got what was it? Played on the Saturday, the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're in the quarter-final of the Cup. 100% priority, and then we've obviously got another important league game. I would have liked to have taken the FA Cup as seriously Carabao, but when it comes down to it on paper, our squad depth is so shallow. You had to pick one. We're obviously in a better position to go for the Carabao. So, the starting lineup, on paper, there was enough there to beat Sheffield, 100%. You've got top championship players, don't get us wrong, there's a lot of poor Premiership players, mid-table championship players in that team. It's like our old squad, isn't it? But we did have the likes of Isak start, his first game back. We had Botman playing, do you know what I mean? Joe Linton was playing. We did have some important players, but I wouldn't have said I was confident when I seen the lineup.
Yeah,
I think if you could have played someone instead of them 3 there, you would have. It's just because we don't have the squad, so you probably have to play Botman, Joe Linton. Yeah. I think, purely he doesn't think we've got the squad to challenge in the Carabao, FA and Premier League.
The last thing, Pete, you said we're not taking the FA Cup seriously. That team should be more than enough to get past the League One side.
Granted, no, I didn't mean we weren't taking it seriously. I just meant do you know what I mean? There's only so much we could do.
Yeah, but I didn't expect it to rotate that much.
No, that was massive.
It's a lot of changes, 8, isn't it? I was expecting maybe 4 or 5.
Has to be done though. You can't just keep playing the same team in and out every week. It has to be done. It's how you get injuries. I'm glad he did it. In hindsight, you look, Matt, you're thinking, I'm glad he played that team because Well, we'll obviously come on to it, but Tuesday we had the chance to go full strength, so it worked a treat.
Yeah, it's all hearsay, but if it means going out in the third round of the FA Cup to get to the final of the Carabao and push for Europe in the Premier League, then it's absolutely worth sacrificing the FA Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll go. I think we'll go through the FA Cup game a little bit differently than we usually do because, obviously, for obvious reasons, we crashed out. So what I was thinking we'd do for this game is go over the actual performances of the individual players, mainly the ones who came in, because they're also kind of on trial for their Newcastle contracts and careers. They don't get many chances in the league, so this was their chance to try and... we talked about it in the preview, whether any of them had a chance of putting in a good performance and getting a game in the league through giving that good performance. So we're going to start at the back, and this is quite a controversial one because Dubravka came straight back in. So Alex, I'll start with you. What did you make of the fact, because we discussed who we thought was going to get the chance in net, and he obviously goes with Dubravka. He's straight back in after coming back from his loan spell. So what did you make of him getting the shot and also his performance?
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise out of all the starting 11. I thought he might rest Pope, but I thought maybe Darlow or Karius might come in. I didn't expect Dubravka to come straight back in. Obviously, we know he can do a job, especially against say a lower ranked side in the cup. But I was surprised to see him come back in. And he had one really good save where he tipped it around the post. But apart from that, I don't think he had I know he conceded 2 goals, but he didn't have a lot to do. He didn't have a lot of saves to make in general. So it's hard to sort of rank his performance on such a bad team performance in general.
But was there a reason we called him? Or was it just that we wanted that extra, challenge in the squad?
Apparently he wanted to come back.
Did he?
So, that's what the rumours are saying, that he wanted. He was obviously wasn't getting his game at Man United, you know what I mean? So, apparently he wanted to come back. But I think, going back to starting lineup, I think it might have been a bit of a shot window kind of thing, mate. I know it obviously gave the chance for Pope to have a rest, which is great, because he's obviously playing everyone. Darlow's injured. I don't know what the crack with Karius is, because he had a cracking game. Was it the Cup game before? Was it the FA Cup game before, something like that?
It would have been the League Cup.
No,
first round
the League Cup.
Cup.
That was it. Aye.
It was a friendly one.
I don't know what the crack is there. Was it a friendly?
I think it was one of the friendlies in the mid-season break.
I definitely think it was a bit of a. I definitely think it was a bit of a shot with the job for Dubravka.
Thing is, though, he can't play for another English team now, can he? Or is it any team? Because he's played for Man U.
This is happening with Aubameyang right now. Yeah, apparently it's FIFA rules, because I'd literally heard it on Sky Sports before that if Aubameyang goes to a different club now, he can't play for them, because he's played for Barcelona and Chelsea, so he couldn't play for another club this season, although he could go back to Barca.
Wouldn't surprise us. Fair mercenary.
No. So yeah, apparently, Dubravka, even though, I don't know how it works, because he only played in the League Cup for Man U twice, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how that would work if you could play in another league or something. But I know Aubameyang, specifically can't play for a third team this season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, because it was the Carabao. It might be he can play for a lower league team, but he's not going to want to do that, is he? So I think personally that he's back in the squad and he's a number 2. I don't think Eddie Howe's got anything against him, and I think he just wanted to come back from Man U, and if you believe his statement, he wants to come back, and he said he wants to help the team in any way he can, which I just read as, I'm happy to be number 2. And he's probably thinking,
for this season.
Yeah, at least he's come back home where he's probably got a house and his family and everything. Mm-hmm. So we'll see in the summer, I think.
Well, I think he sort of might have. not hide his toys out the pram a bit, but obviously Nick Pope came in and he was going to be the number one. He's going to take over Dubravka. So did he think, you know what, I'm going out the door? Yeah, he's seen a little sniff to play for Man United. Did he come back and think, right, okay, I've made the wrong choice here. I actually want to go back. Look at how well they're doing, how much team spirit there is, how together they are. It looks, and I'm missing out on that now. Maybe he thought he shouldn't have left. He should have stuck around because, well, we obviously had to bring in Karius, didn't we? So, like, we wouldn't have had to do that if Dubravka was still there.
That was Darlow getting injured as well, though.
Was that when did Karius come? Had Dubravka gone, and then we brought Karius in?
Yeah, it was after the transfer window had closed, and Darlow got injured. But since Karius was a free agent, we're signing them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So Dubravka would have. I think Dubravka would have played a lot more than Karius has. Obviously, if he'd have stayed, he would have played the cup games, stuff like that. Even some back-to-back Premier League games because he's Premier League proven, isn't he? So he would have. I think he would have definitely got a lot more game time.
This is an injury. He's a locker room guy now. He's not going to play, is he?
Mm-hmm.
Do you reckon there's like a chance that, like, I know he said the reason he went to Man U, he wanted to fight for the first team place. Do you think he actually thought he had more chance of becoming the first team keeper over to here than Pope back here, and that's why he wanted to give it a chance and go? Because that's why he said he wanted to go. To fight for the first team place.
I think it's just a whole Man United thing, mate. It's like his last chance to try and do something big. He obviously thought he was going to play a hell of a lot more than he did.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone well for him. But I mean, you could say if he's wanted to come back here, he's obviously come back with his tail between his legs, like.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to the back line then. We'll start with Lascelles because obviously he's club captain. He's played in the Premier League this season. He's come in. It's against the League One team. You've got to feel fairly confident that he's going to do a half-decent job at the back. Gets paired with Botman. John, I'll ask you, what did you make of Lascelles' performance?
Probably the wrong person to ask because I didn't watch the game. Not even a Newcastle fan, me, man.
You thought this was an NFL podcast?
No, yeah. I watched the Leicester game, so I'll pass over to Doss. I'm assuming not very good.
Oh, well, I was blind drunk by that point, so I didn't see the game either. No. I said, like, on the preview pod that, like, if Lascelles starts, we'll concede. Like, I literally said that. I didn't expect to lose the game. But he's just... I want to say he's found his level, but he's just not that good, is he? Like, you can't really put it any simpler.
He hasn't played that much. He's probably declined over the last few years without many people realising how much.
He's almost like dead weight now. I feel like we have to play him in these games just because he's the club captain and stuff. It's like, oh, we'll have to give him a run out, just to keep him in the show type of thing. He's fucking bollocks. Do you know what I mean? He's a proper liability. He can't pass a ball forward. He just passes it side to side. He makes mistakes. He just heads it. He's a has-been now. Like, I know he's a club captain and everything like that, and he's stuck around. And yeah, great. Is he a leader? He only got the captaincy because he mouthed off at the Southampton game when we got tanked 5-0 off them all them years ago. So, I'm never caught. If I see his name on the team sheet, it sounds bad. I don't want to slate him. I don't want to slag him off after I've slagged him off. But
it sounds like you're slagging him off
after I've harrowed him. But it's like I see his name on the team sheet, and I'm like, here we go. Like, you just know you're going to concede. I'd go as far as saying he's ruined Botman's cleanies.
The dag as well, I'm sure. Jesus.
Well, there was also 2 other changes at the back. So Manquillo came in at right back for Trippier. Now, for me, I thought he actually played all right. especially considering he's essentially third choice right back with Kraft being injured. I thought he got up there and he was putting balls in and did all right defensively. I thought he got moved over to the left towards the end of the game and still did all right. So for me, I think apart from Botman, he was probably, well, in terms of the players coming out from the Cove, I think he did the best. I don't know if you guys agree.
Definitely, yeah. I've rated Manquillo for a while now. I think he's solid, like a left back and right back. I thought he had a solid game. Like he overlaps, he like proper busts a gut constantly. Like you always see him running up and down the touchline. And yeah, I thought he's one of maybe 3 or 4 players who didn't have a bad game. I don't think you can particularly say anyone had a good game, but yeah, I don't think he was bad by any stretch.
He was definitely a standout player out of the what would you say, the second string teams, second string players. Sorry, he was definitely the standout player, making a lot of runs down the wing, a lot of overlaps, a lot of balls in. Yes, he's nowhere near the caliber of Trippier, but he was still knocking them balls in like it should have been doing. He wasn't doing things wrong, but there's obviously a bit of quality lacking there. But he's rusty, isn't he? I've always said, I think me and Dawson spoke about this actually when we were at the game. I think Mike Manquillo's always been like, he's always put a shift in, he's always done well. You don't want to call him an unsung hero, but do you know what I mean? It's like
he's a good
he goes under the radar. Yeah, he is a very good squad player to have, especially that he's versatile. He can play on the left and the right. He's definitely good cover. We actually spoke about it at the game on Tuesday. What's saying like who's going to be, because obviously Target's out. Who's the backup left back?
Yeah,
and it was like, it's Manquillo, who's also the backup right back. So he's definitely it's definitely a player to keep for me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And he seems like he's the type of guy that'll be happy to be a squad player as well. So he's not going to rock the boat in the change rooms or anything if he's not getting games.
Yeah, he knows he's level.
I find it interesting. Like, I've heard him being called out by quite a few people to leave because he's not the level. But you can't have every single player in the squad being like a first choice player. So, especially the fact he can play a couple of positions. Great squad player. But we'll come on to the person who did actually come in as the backup left back. Lewis. He came in with a lot of potential from Norwich, and he's never really got a string of games together, whether it's through injury or just the manager doesn't fancy him. People come back to you on Lewis.
Really? You sure you want to?
I mean, I don't want to slate him, but
just another arrested.
We bought him as an investment. He was a standout player at Norwich. I think he was pretty sought after, and we thought we'd landed a proper talent. He's been plagued with injuries. To be fair, when he first started playing for, we thought, there's a lot of potential here, but I think now I know he hasn't played in Christ. He never plays. He had a bad injury, but to play, he's playing against the League One side. Okay, a physical League One side at their home ground, but it wasn't good enough. Wasn't nowhere near good enough for me. Like, you can say, he's just come back from injury, blah blah. Nowhere near good enough for me. Like, he's been fit enough and long enough, been training with a squad for long enough now to have some sort of chemistry, and there was just nothing there for me. Like, he's on the shopping list for me. Like, he can go.
You said he's an investment. It's like my investment in Dogecoin, which was an absolute
which is long gone.
Love to get off the investment back.
Actually lost money.
I'd take off.
Yeah, he's not even that young anymore, is he?
That's the thing. Like, when he came in, well, even on the preview pod, I was like, right, I want to see Lewis have a game. I want to see him start. I want him to show what he can do. And he showed but it just wasn't great. I'm with Pete on this one. He's not good enough, and I don't think he's ever going to be good enough. So I'd rather get him out of the squad. get another younger player in or something like that, then we've got an experienced player like Mankiw who can fill in if need be.
Yeah, I have to agree. It was a pretty poor performance. And going back to something you said, Pete, on Botman, obviously lost his non-losing streak. I'd say it's more due to the fact that he was playing with, in terms of the back five, all four were coming in from the goal. Not used to playing together. He's obviously not as confident in the keeper. I don't think he ever really would have played with Dubravka before, and they didn't have that much time training together. And then you could kind of tell.
It reminds me of? Yeah. It reminds me of the Cambridge game when Trippier came in, and Trippier was pushing forward, expecting cover, but the players weren't to that standard, so they didn't know what to do. He's bombing forward, waiting for an overlap or whatever, and there's absolutely no one covering his space. And he's like, "Fuck now, like, what's going on here?" I feel like that was with Botman. Botman hasn't played with them players. He's used to playing with Shaw and Byrne and Trips, so he's like, they all know each other. We've seen what they're like together. They know each other inside out. So I just think there was absolutely no connection there, unfortunately. I mean, you can't blame anyone just because they haven't played together. But I think that was a big standout. Like,
yeah, I think it was like a double whammy. It's like you're bringing in players that aren't as good, but they've also not played together, not played for a while. So it was kind of, and like obviously going back to the start, we said we're kind of saying like he was right to make that many changes to keep everyone fresh for the quarter final. But I think that many changes really is probably what ended up costing them. More than just the fact that the second string's not as good. It's that they're not even playing. So
that's it exactly. They're not playing.
Come on to the midfield. Let's start with Anderson. So he obviously comes in and plays centre midfield. I think he was on the left of the three. And I think he's playing there because of the lack of squad depth, and we didn't have any other centre midfielders to bring in. Alex, what you got to say about Anderson's performance?
That's the thing. We're touted him to start in midfield because of no other options, and he did. And I don't think he had his best game. Once again, I wanted to see what he had, and I really wanted him to do well. But I thought
he's not centre mid, though, is he?
Yeah, he's not. But like it wasn't quite working out.
Yeah, it seems ludicrous to play him there when, especially like a young kid, bring him in centre mid. Like, I've never seen him play there before.
Like, he's always came on late to like try and alter a game, like from the wing and try and attack defenders who are a bit slow on the feet. But yeah, I think we're at the point with Anderson that he needs to go back out on loan. He needs to go to a championship side who can play him week in, week out, and then you can really show what you can do, because there have been clubs sniffing about him for, pre-season, and I'm sure now as well. So I think we'll have to get a player in first before Anderson goes back out, because as we've seen, our squad is quite thin on the ground. But I think if we can't get a body in, which I think centre mid is probably one of our areas we're looking to strengthen in this window, I think Anderson probably needs to go out on loan again, especially after that performance.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. Like, I think that highlighted. You could say that in the Prem games he's been carried by the better players. I think that highlighted Anderson. I know he's young, he's still inexperienced. He did smash it in League One though, didn't he?
Was it League One or was it League Two?
League Two, I think. Yeah,
was it League Two? Well, we smashed it in League Two. Then he's definitely at least League One standard, if for regular game time, if you like. But I think that highlighted his, I don't know what you'd call it, his need for regular football. He needs to start and play every game. Like,
I wouldn't like them to go League Two again, though. I think League One or Championship, just so we can find his level, because he's proven that he can do it at League Two now.
Yeah, 100%. Aye, 100%.
Goal alert for Fulham, by the way. Don't spoiler out there. Yeah.
Potter out.
That were fucking Snape said when he came.
I was gonna say. Said Malfoy. Potter out. Fucking hell, she's taking a turn.
Right, let's try and rattle through the rest of these, and then we can get off this Sheffield game. So let's go. Tom's not here, so let's have Murphy off for a bit.
I believe Josh Shitty.
Yeah, I think he had one of his worst games. We keep saying against these lower league teams, like he should be showing what he's actually made of, and then he just doesn't. Like, actually,
do you know what? It's the same thing. It's a shit player getting carried by the good players around him. And when he plays, it's true though. When he plays a lot worse team, it stands out because he can't even do it against them. He should be.
Yeah.
If you look at it right, he comes on as a sub nearly every game we play, Premier League game, right, against top flight teams. He's playing with top flight players with us, and he comes on. He plays the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, gets himself about a bit. Which means to me, as soon as we play a League One team, he should be starting, and he should almost be bossing it. He should be starting out thinking, "Fucking hell, look at him, he's class. He's rapid. Look at he doesn't. You still look at him and going, oh, it's Jacob Murphy. Look what he's doing again. He's
doing the same horrible things that he does in the Prem, where he's just like
awful, man.
No end product. Like he runs around like a headless chicken a bit. Like it's almost like Miggy before he was good. Like he's got the work rate. You can tell he's trying, but nothing's coming off. No matter what he does, no matter whether he goes on the left or right, starts or comes in off the wing, off the bench. Just nothing quite works for him, which probably just proves that he's not at the level that the rest of the squad is.
Yeah,
and he's
I think in the summer, I'd like to see us improve like the squad. Like, obviously, you want to improve the starting 11, but you need, if you want to challenge like in all the cups and the league, then you need to have the squad. If you compare who we're bringing on, Murphy, to who, City, even the likes of like Spurs and that, their squad's much better than ours. So for me, there's got to be a clear out of the likes of Murphy, Lewis, them kind of guys.
That's the thing. I'd love to get sort of these sort of 18, 19-year-old wonder kids in from like South America and start them in cup games and see what they've got. Rather than give these players who are already in the mid-20s, they're not going to be good enough, and we're just playing them for the sake of playing them because we'll have to. I'd rather bring players on who we can actually develop, and even if they are playing a lower league side and they don't have a great game, like it's just part of the development in general. So yeah, it just seems a waste playing these players like Murphy and Lewis, who've clearly got no future at the club.
Yeah. There was that chance where he tried to like lob the keeper, which was just awful. Like he's with that pace, like all you had to do was touch it past him, and then he had an open goal. So it's like his decision making as well as like I don't know if it's confidence, but yeah, he's. I think that's it for me now. He had that decent spell, but
he should have a bit of confidence though. He's playing he's playing in every Premier League game. Why hasn't he got confidence? He's not. I mean, surely he knows himself he's not going to start, but I don't see why he shouldn't have confidence. He's not a goal scorer, but I know he can run with a ball and he's quick and all that. But it's like, well, what is it? Why can't you do it? Because to be fair, I mean, I'm saying to be fair, once in a blue moon, you'll have a game and you think, oh, he's doing well here, like he's. But it obviously means that there's got to be a full. He's probably got to be against a bang average fullback to be having a good game.
Against one good one.
Exactly. So
he's probably got a bit of confidence, and then listens to this podcast and hears you slate him every week.
Right, no doubt he listens to us like on his way to the game.
Absolutely.
Just to give him the morale boost he needs.
You're not slating him, but
I'm not slating him, but he's awful. He's
raging when he listens to this.
Well, Tom should be here, then, shouldn't he? Should be able to back his boy up. But to be fair, I'd love this transfer window to work as in like you've got your teams going pushing for promotion for the Championship, and you've got your teams fighting for survival in the Premiership. I'd love them to come up and it's just offer not a ridiculously stupid offer because you're not going to get that, but just daft little offers for things like Murphy, Lewis, stuff like that. Players who can help them. They're not going to help us now, let's face it. They're not going to push us on. I know it's our squad depth, but it's obviously the case of getting replacements in, which we'll have to do before we sold them, which is a nightmare in January. But in an ideal world, if we could ship them off now for teams who are desperate to get players in to push them for survival or for promotion, and then we get our players in that we need to bolster the squad, it's a win-win situation. But that's an ideal world. It's January transfer window. It's not going to happen, is it?
You'll end up overpaying for players, and this is just part of the process of going from where we were a year ago to where we want to go. You have to transition these players out of the club.
Yeah, and if we had more cover, we could probably get a decent bit of money for them in January. But it's a fact we have to replace them as well. And another player who's kind of in the same boat is Matt Ritchie, which I was really surprised to see him in the starting lineup. I didn't really think he'd play again for us. So unusually though, like I thought he actually had an alright game compared to the rest of them. I thought he looked alright.
Yeah, I thought he was one of the few players who came in who did have an alright game. Again, you can never fault his work rate, but I feel like when he's came on recently, which isn't very often, his end product hasn't been great. His crossing hasn't been great, but I thought. Yeah, he had a decent game.
He's probably one out of any of them who are looking like this as a shop window. He's like 32, 33 now. Like he might have one more move to like a Championship team in him. He's been good for the tune over the years.
He's one who knows his time will be up. Like he's not getting another contract with the if he wants to play football for the rest of his career, he needs to move as soon as he can, really.
I think he will, though, when he'll go. But his family's from... Are they still in Bournemouth? I'm sure his family's still in Bournemouth. It's obviously going to happen. You know what I mean? Especially if they're... Is it his level, though? Is Bournemouth his level again? Because I don't think he'll play for them either.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't play the Prem.
He'd probably go like Portsmouth. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how old is he? 32? 31?
33, I think.
Is he 33? He's time's done, isn't it? His time's done for a Premier... In the Premier League, it's like... I think he knows. Like you say, I think he knows it. But he's still got that class to still put a shift in. He did put a shift in against Sheffield. Like I think we mentioned, he was getting himself about a bit. Like he was on the ball. He passed it around.
Still looks fit, like.
Yeah. All right. He's
Gordon Ramsay.
He definitely put a shift in. Like there was no complaints about Ritchie.
Yeah, I think he's like you say, a shop window. Hopefully he gets a decent move because he's been a great servant. So whether it be January or the summer, I think he's not going to be there next season. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with his performance. And the last player I just want to touch on before we move on from this game is Isak coming back in after his injury. He started, got 45 minutes, looked sharp, but he did miss a couple of chances, didn't he? So, what were your thoughts, Pete, on Isak?
I thought he did all right. He was in the right places at the right time, doing what striker should do. He had a couple of shots saved. Should have scored in the first, 10, 15 minutes with his header. Obviously rusty. And he had another shot in the first half as well, saved. Powerful shot, good save. I don't think there are no complaints really. He's been out for that long. He was doing what a striker should do, to be honest. He's obviously not a striker to run the length of the pitch, take on all these people. He's like he seemed to know where to put himself, rather than taking himself deep to get the ball to run with it. He just seemed to know where he should be, which I thought I was happy with. No complaints.
He seems to like just playing off that last man, doesn't he? He tries to get him behind and make those runs. He did say himself after the game that he should have done better. He said, I think he alluded to the fact that he had just come back from a long injury.
Rusty.
So he should have done better, but you can't put any blame on him. He's been out for so long. The best is yet to come with these, no doubt.
Plus, he's very, very new to English football. Still.
Yeah, I think the minutes, just getting him minutes at the minute is the key thing. Probably the best thing to come out of that game was him getting some minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could kind of see the talent was way higher than anyone
Chris
around
Wood.
him. Luckily, he was nowhere near him until the second half. But yeah, obviously, at the time, massively disappointing. But sitting here now, kind of feels like a blessing in disguise. Don't know if you all agree with that, but
we'll get it next year. To right.
get
past that round next year.
Yeah.
I mean, also down there. We went down there for the day. Went down with a few of the lads. Obviously on the sauce all day. But there was a lot of controversy come out about the whole ground situation with the fans in the concourse. We've obviously seen on Twitter, we've seen on Sky Sports the news about the investigation going on. So my brother was there before we got to the match, and he sent me a text saying it was an absolute nightmare trying to get a drink, the amount of people there. And he was in the lower tier along with us. We were in the lower tier as well. But when we got to the ground, we literally walked straight through, no bother, through the turnstile into the ground, and it wasn't a problem. But I've heard a lot of it was with the lads in the upper section. When they were trying to get in, that's when it got bad, because they were getting penned into a bloke and I was saying they were penned in like a 2 meter wide corridor, and everyone's just obviously herding like cattle. There wasn't that many stewards there, Dawes, was there? There wasn't a lot of people there for a place that had an absolute disaster all them years ago. There wasn't a lot of, and we had 5,000 fans there, 5,000 fans. There was not a lot of stewards there. Police, there wasn't. Checking your tickets, yes, to get in, patting you down, yes. Not trying to make sure it's fucking safe, none of it. It was like, we're at half time. We went to get a beer at half time. You didn't know where the stairs were. There was just a merge of people everywhere. You've literally just got to find the gap in the seats and push your way through. In the bar was a hatch about 1.5 meters wide, trying to serve. I think there was 3. There was one in the middle, one on the left, and one on the right, trying to serve 5,000 fans. That was disgusting. And it's, I won't lie.
At school,
it was a tuck shop. It's a shithole. It's an absolute shithole, that ground. They should have pulled it down. It's really bad. I wouldn't go back there again on a away day myself. I've got no interest in going back there on a away day. One for how bad it is, and the other is a shithole. Not to slag it off.
No, not to slate it or anything. This is just Pete just ranting in the full pod.
Have you missed us, lads?
Taking the defeat well, No, firstly, shout out to the Sheffield Wednesday fans. In the stadium, they were really vocal. They were good. They were giving them stick.
And Shearer.
The stadium wasn't full. It was close to full. But even on the tram on the way towards the stadium, they were next to it on the tram, and they started up a chant. Was it Sunderland or fucking shit or something like that?
Nah, what do you think of Sunderland?
So they obviously hate Sunderland from beating them in the playoffs and stuff like that, and obviously going down and keeping them down. And even after, I bumped into the same 10 lads that I got the tram in with on the way out. except for I was by myself and they were giving us pelters, but it was all good crack, to be fair. Like they're like, "Oh, it's him from the tram. Where's your friends gone?" I was like, "Yep, I've lost them, haven't I?"
Why were you by yourself? Just more? Or?
No, it wasn't too bad. It's when we come out the ground, we split, and since it's a few miles from the city centre, like a couple of us like literally jumped on the first tram we seen, and it was just like taking off. Then like I think there was like 3 groups of 3 or whatever, ended up going back. So yeah, there was me and 2 other lads got the tram back, and then went into McDonald's after it's me order, and as I was getting the pelters, they were just stand watching us. So I was just left by myself. But no, it was a good day and a good night, and like stayed out to the early hours, and yeah, it was good fun. Apart from the match, pretty much.
The atmosphere, our atmosphere was poor for our away end. It was poor for me. Like I think the upper section was better, but I thought it was the worst. Fucking, I'm depressing, aren't I? It was the worst. It was definitely the worst away atmosphere I've been to. Like, but I think it was because it wasn't like it wasn't a Premier League away game, so I think there was a lot of people having like first time away games and stuff like that.
Feeling a bit down. I think. Do you want to chat after?
I know. Let's talk about Leicester. Right?
Good segue.
A real cup competition.
I know. One that matters.
Yeah. Well, just to wrap it up, then let's just say that they played really well, Sheffield Wednesday, and Tom actually called out their goal scorer in the preview to be a threat, and obviously he got 2 goals, which, especially the second one, was a great finish. So
it's funny. I was speaking to a few of their fans after, and like I mentioned Windass, and I was like, "Oh, he scored a hat-trick at the weekend, hadn't he?" And then he came and scored 2 against us. They were like, "He's barely been in the squad. He's not been in the team, and he's only just basically came into the team, scored that hat-trick, and then he's came and scored 2 against you." So they're saying he hasn't even been a regular lately. So he's obviously just turned it on in the last couple of games when he's needed to.
Just in time for us. Nice.
Like, fair play. Like
we did not deserve to win that. They absolutely
deserve to win. Yeah,
we can't have no complaints about that. Like, but that's what everyone seems to be saying when all this crap about complaining about the grounds coming out. Like, oh, you're being bitter. We're not being bitter. Like, you battered with fair and square. You deserve to win. We deserve to lose. But this is completely separate. Like, I think I put a tweet out yesterday saying, like, why are the Chef fans getting so defensive over this? Like, it's literally just highlighting a safety issue. It's not going to be that. If on their next home game, God forbid, there's an actual injury, like, it could actually be prevented because we've said it's not right. So it's just a bit strange how they're taking it. Like, I know, you battled when you deserve to win. We did not deserve to win that game. Fair play, crack on, good luck in the next round. But we've got more important semi-finals to play, so fuck yous.
Pete, you're not sounding better at all.
I'm definitely not bitter. Like, it was a fucking shit all ground, shit day, shit football, it was pissing down. Don't care, I've always liked United anyway.
Okay, so let's move on then to Leicester at St James'pod. So, do you guys think there was any added pressure going into that game due to the fact that we crashed out the FA Cup?
Yes and no. Yes, because we had to turn it around from the FA Cup. Although we all knew that it was going to be a strong team, we were playing a better team. Well, on paper you'd think we were, but I don't. I think there was a lot of pressure because I think a lot of pressure was made for ourselves purely for the fact of we're dying to win a trophy. So we're like, fucking hell, this is like a must-win game. I fancied it. I fancied we would win 2-0. But I think it was just that, what if? What if it's just a cock-up? It's us. It happens all the time. So I think there was a bit of pressure in the because of how well we're doing in the league. We've already battered Leicester. I think it was more just nerves, less pressure, more nerves.
Yeah, there's just more expectation. So I think with expectation comes pressure naturally. I don't think it was piled on just because we got knocked out of the FA Cup. I think once you get to a quarter final, there's an expectation and a hope that you're going to get like semi-final, final. So yeah, I think I wouldn't say there was any added pressure.
What about you, Alex? Do you think because if we'd crashed out of 2 cups in the same week, there would have been some pelters coming Eddie Howe's way?
I don't think there'll be any pelters coming Eddie Howe's way, but I feel like there was this, I wouldn't say expectation, but there's hope just to bounce back. I feel like we really needed it because I think a lot of people would have been very deflated after losing to a League One side. So obviously a home tie, we had war flags there with war scarves, getting the crowd up. So I feel like we really needed to put in a good performance just to sort of right those wrongs from last weekend. And I feel like, we came out pretty strong with a strong lineup as well, as strong as we could have basically put out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me that's our best weapon. Yeah.
There was obviously calls for Maxi to start and maybe Isak, but I think with Isak's probably too early. And with Maxi, I think it's just that the other lads are playing so well, and the way the formation is, it's going to be tough.
Apparently, he did have a bit of an illness as well, didn't he? That's why he wasn't in the squad for Sheffield. There was a lot of whether it was that was made up on Twitter saying that he had a fallout with Eddie Howe.
One
guy caused all that, I think, didn't he? Said he's had a fallout with Eddie Howe. I think Maxi put on Instagram that he was like a little sick emoji and all that, whatever. Whether that was just a cover up, we don't know. But he was straight back in the team for today, so for the Leicester game, sorry.
And Alex, you touched on war flags. Just the atmosphere, the quality in the build up to the game. Like obviously, they did this bring your scarves, and there was like even pictures of Shearer waving his scarf and everything. Aye. So the atmosphere was quality.
It was definitely a good thing done by War Flags. That it was something so simple as well. But we were saying at the end of the game, wasn't it? Everyone was just waving the flags, waving the scarves. It's like a cop. It's not a copy, but it's almost like what happens in the Cup at Liverpool. They've all got the scarves, and it just looks class. So traditional. It just looks really good. They should be taken every game. I really hope that people do take them in every game because it does look good.
The unintended pun, calling it a copy.
Hey.
But yeah, it was like not even like just pre-match. Like when we scored the goals as well, everyone had the scarves out, like put a gun for it, and it just made for a spectacle. Like just to look around the ground, obviously full house. It was class to see.
The players were scared of it as well because, like I seen when they were walking out, even they looked mental. To be fair, so they must be well really good.
We had that War Flags put out they had a new surfer as well in the Gallagher, which was class. So yeah, it was definitely a good atmosphere created. Like, really good. And we came out the blocks firing as well. Longstaff should have put that in the back of the net in the first couple of minutes. Like, unfortunately, not going to slag him off. he should have buried it. But at least it's had the intent.
Longstaff had a few opportunities, and like every other one, he seemed to get on target, get like a better hit on it at least. That was the one that if he had got like a semi-decent connection, he just scuffed it.
Yeah, he's not a goal scorer, was he?
Do you think it almost came too soon in the match? It was because it was really early.
For Longstaff to what that he should have buried it.
No,
he should have buried it for me. Like,
he should have definitely.
It was just a bad connection. He kicked it into the ground, didn't he? It's almost hit like the bottom of his foot and kicked into the ground. It's just one of them things.
Yeah, but it was a great start to the game. Like getting a chance like that straight away, and obviously,
definitely,
it must be fresh in Leicester's minds that we scored like 2 in 7 minutes against them down at their place. So I could only imagine like what they're thinking when that happens like straight away. Well, we actually had
definitely.
Yeah, we had a lot of chances in the first half. but it just seemed like where shooting boots went on again. Although, like you say,
Bruno
some of them were on
put
target.
A few wide, like.
Yeah. Long range ones as well.
It's good to see, though. It's good to see that we're taking all the chances, just shooting from anywhere. Rather than, obviously, back in the day, we used to try and walk the ball in the back of the net. We've got players that can have a dig now and go for it. Why not? Ward kept them in it, you'd say, especially in the first half, because he pulled off some cracking saves. He's an underrated keeper, him, like. Because he's a good shot stopper, like.
It's because of the bad start of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, that's all it was. The bad start of the season against like all the top 6 clubs, pretty much. Like, obviously Boris. I think he just had an unfortunate start and got a bad rep from the off. But yeah, we were saying in the first half, like, how many does he want to save? Like, I know, like, they weren't in like the top corner or out like that, but like all the saves that he made, he always got them away from goal and stuff like that. Like, I know I had a lot of corners. But yeah, he just made sure his goal was safe first and foremost. And
yeah, I think that's why some of Bruno's, like, obviously blazed them wide, but he was. I think he was just trying to sink them in the corner because since Ward was saving like everything, he thought it's going to have to be right in the corner for this to go in.
He had a couple just drilled past the post as well, like so close in the first half.
Yeah.
It just felt like we came out the blocks absolutely firing once again, and first 25 minutes or whatever, it just felt inevitable we were going to score in that first half. Like, we're absolutely battering them.
Leicester seemed like non-existent in that first half.
We said they looked fucking knackered.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Like 20 minutes in, we were like, these are knackered. These like they just looked off it. They were standing off. They weren't pressing one. Now we had so much space, but we just need to mention how bad the referee was. They should have had about 3-4 cards at least in the first half. Maybe not 4 cards, but 3 cards at least in the first half. The ref just didn't want to know. It was very poor. I get that he was wanting to let the game play, but there was some bad decisions there. Like
he made a problem for himself the full game because early on. Like early on in the game, like there was one where they had a corner, and I think Bruno went to break, and Tielemans just completely stopped him in his tracks. And it's the most cynical foul going. Stopping the break, it should be yellow card all day, and he didn't give it. And there was a few of those. Perez had another one when he could have got booked when he just like stopped the play cynically. And since the referee let those go early on, Leicester were just carrying on doing it.
Yeah, and the tone, didn't it?
And then they know they can do it a couple of times, and get away with it. So it was constantly like that's what we try to do. We try to win the ball, put pressure on them, and break quickly. And we struggled to do it so much because they were just chopping them down and just getting away with it. I can't believe that we went in with 2 yellow cards and they had none at half time.
Nuts, that absolutely nuts.
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
What were your feelings at half time? Because obviously it was still 0-0. But we had
more than we had.
Yeah. Were you worried at all that it was going to be one of them?
We did say, didn't we? Got to half time, we were thinking, we've got a bad feeling about this. Like, we're going to do everything, and they're just going to get some crappy little counter attack in a little cheap goal. We were worried at half time because we knew we deserved more than we had. The decisions weren't going our way. The chances weren't falling properly. Wilson was fairly quiet, I thought.
But if Wilson had one of them chances, you'd have fancied him the bag.
Exactly.
He just wasn't in the game or wasn't in the right place at the right time.
No.
There was a couple of times where we caught them on the ball. I think Faye's made a few like bad passes out and stuff like that. We caught them quite high, which made the wrong decisions in that final third, and it feels like there was a few opportunities missed early on. And then, like, by the time it got to about half an hour in, they started to come back into the game a little bit more. Like, the pressure of us died a little bit. And then we'll give them, like, a few chances and a few corners. So, yeah, by the time it got to half time, you were wondering if the match was starting to turn a little bit. So I was worried, considering we could have been a couple up by half time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then the second half, I felt like it started again the same kind of way the first half was going. So we were back on top, and we were making more chances, although we were missing them.
It was early on, wasn't it? Joe Linton's chance at the post. Mm-hmm. It was a good sign that we've come out like we started the game. We didn't try and ease into it, went straight at them again. We knew they were there for the taking. We're always there for a taking, but it was good.
I think the message for Howe would have been pretty easy. Just keep doing what you're doing, because
exactly, it'll come.
Exactly.
He said that, didn't he? He said that after the game. He was like, we know that if we make the chances, one of them will come. So you just got to keep there.
Someone asked him at full time. They said, "Oh, I think it might have been."
Did Shea Given?
It was the guy who done the NFL, who presented it. Anyways, he asked him at full time. He was like, "Oh, so what did you tell him at half time, chappers? What did you tell him at half time? Did he say just carry on going, doing what you're doing?" Mm-hmm. And Eddie was like, "No." He's like, "That's probably one of the things you don't want to say. You want to say you need to do more. Like you need to." It was like, no, it's too easy just to say carrying on doing what you're doing. You might not get anywhere. So it's funny that even though all of us might have thought, yeah, carry on doing what you're doing, Eddie Howe just thinks completely different. It's just
there's a reason we're sitting here doing the podcast, and Eddie Howe's a Premier League manager. Well, it's one of many reasons.
He hasn't done very well. He hasn't done very well, has he?
He's even better on podcasts than we are as well, if you've seen High Performance. But it did take something a bit special to break the deadlock, and actually it was very special. Big Dan Burn getting his first goal for his boyhood club at Gallagher End. He wants to talk about that.
Do you know what, by the way? As you jump on Dan Burn, did you see his stats after the game? He was further up the pitch than Joe Willock on his stats. His average area was further up the pitch than Joe Willock. We couldn't believe it. There was one moment in that game where it was, I think it was maybe halfway in the second half, the pace he got from nowhere. They all looked at each other going, what's going on here? It was like he was just motoring.
He overlapped on the left-hand side.
It must be, it didn't lead to the goal, but he was just motoring, he was taking over players. What is going on here? But I think the fact that he was thriving on the fact that the He's from Blythe song was absolutely bouncing in the stands, and he could hear it. And he was absolutely loving it. We noticed him laughing. I really think that proper psyched him up there. Because
it only started in the second half, the chant, and it started to proper. It started in the corner, it started to go all the way around the ground, and it's literally you're seeing him just get a burst of thunder through his legs, and he's bursting. Honestly, it was brilliant to see. And then
the goal was he took it really well. There was a nice touch. Well. He took the ball really nicely.
Yeah, it was a lovely little layoff by Joe Linton as well. That first time, little pass. But on his weaker foot as well, tucked in at the bottom corner.
Pattern 5 apparently.
That's his first goal for us, isn't it?
First goal,
Yeah, First goal, and I can imagine it's probably the first time he's heard his name sang while he's been playing. And to score at the Gallagher End as well. Proper every little Geordie lad's dream that and his family sitting there in the corner of the Gallagher in the Milburn. So it's literally perfect
see him
for him.
Pointing to somebody
Because he ran over.
He said after the game,
it's such an unreal moment.
The place was rocking when he scored.
You tell everyone was buzzing from. Aye.
Got to mention Joe Willock as well in the build-up to that goal. He was involved. And then, like you say, the layoff, the Joe Linton's ball was just inch perfect. And then it's a silky goal, in between two defenders. And then finishes it between... Didn't he put it between a defender's legs?
I think so, yeah. It was the closest defender to him went through his legs straight into the corner.
It was a
brilliant finish.
I thought Willock was one of the better players. I thought
he had a cracking game. I'd love to have seen the meters he covered because
he runs himself covered.
The runs he was doing with that ball, he was carrying up the pitch it was brilliant on that left hand side. Absolutely brilliant. You keep saying, Dawes, you keep saying how sneaky quick he is. Like you don't realise, you look at him, you think, oh, he's not that quick, but when he's actually running, you think, fucking hell, he's rapid.
He loves just squaring the defender up, just taking a long touch of the ball and just fucking running at them.
Yeah.
He loves it now. You can tell he's got the beating of people with his pace.
I think he's kind of reinvented himself a little bit. Like when we first got him, he was this goal scoring midfielder, but didn't do too much outside of that. I didn't think.
Yeah.
But obviously, the goals mask any of that, and then obviously the goals dried up, and we're actually, what does he do for us? And I think this season under Howe, he's been unbelievable. He sets the tone for the press. I think out of everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Where did he play for Arsenal when he played?
I think it was just centre mid. But
that's what I thought. So he's obviously found a new position on the left. If that's the case.
I think when he first started playing for us, he was on the right in the midfield, wasn't he? For that midfield three. Mm-hmm. And then
he played a bit more tennis, didn't he?
Yeah. But now that he's on the left with Joe Linton as well, I think them two have sparked up a real good combination between the two of them. So I think that's why Maxie's going to struggle to get back into the starting line.
It's class when you think you've got Joe Linton and Willock know each other inside out here, and you've got Bruno and Miggy knowing each other out here. It's absolutely perfect. The
you can even bring
chemistry between the right players. Sorry?
You can even bring Longstaff in on the right. He's playing really well with on the right hand side with the three of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of chemistry in between the two players. I
thought Longstaff had a great game as well, bar his miss.
We said the midfield three were all absolute engines, never stopped.
Yeah.
Attacking, defending, playing little intricate balls. Thought all three of them had a great game. Obviously, apart from Longstaff shooting.
Such a workhorse, Longstaff, and he's such a workhorse.
You could say you kind of fault him, but you can fault it shooting
Yeah. It's not his game though, is it? It's not what you know him for. But I mean, you can't slate him when he has on a plate and he fluffs it or something. You can let him get away with having a shot outside the box and skying it or whatever, because that's just not what he does. But when it comes down to his game of pure graft and grit, he's so good at that, winning the ball back, just getting stuck in. He's everyone needs someone like that in the team. You could go as far as saying he's definitely part of the foundation now. I think of that centre of the pitch.
But it's not that he just makes tackles and wins the ball and grafts. He does make a lot of runs upfield as well. He makes those runs in between the midfield and defence. So Bruno to pass it forward too. He's definitely improved his game going forward. And you can see because he gets in positions, goal scoring positions every game. He's one of our players. He gets shots off most games. And that just shows he's not just a defensive midfielder. He's not just a tackler. He's a proper box to box engine. And fair play.
We get so much out of our midfield three. It's it's like having an extra man in there. Really, the amount of running that they do.
And I think for me, I've picked out Joe Linton as probably my man of the match. And we'll come on to his goal now, which again was another brilliant finish on his wrong foot. Miggy involved this time. And I think it didn't start from Trippier's throw.
I can't remember that far back, mate. I remember it came from Miggy, but I didn't know he touched the ball first.
Yeah, I think Trippier had it in the right back, bottom right of the field, and then threw it across the field, didn't he? Could break straight away. Can't remember who did throw it to. Maybe.
I think Brendan Rodgers actually mentioned it. He was the two goals that came from losing the ball and a mistake, and the other one's from a throw-in.
Yeah.
So he alluded to
it was
the
a
fact
brilliant counter play for Joe Linton's goal.
Almiron's ball through was perfect.
Oh, it was perfect. Yeah.
It was
he didn't even need to take a touch. He could just Yeah.
It needed the finish though, because it was at that angle. It definitely needed a good finish. Which is what it got. He's another one that's oozing confidence now. And with Joe Linton, he couldn't hit a barn door. Now he's it's just natural now. It's part of his game.
Mm-hmm.
If you get to them positions, you expect him to at least have a good shot, if not put it away. which is brilliant. Like, but I agree with what you were saying. I'd say I think Joe Linton would have been my man of the match as well for the work he put in on the ball and stuff like that. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, but he got an assist and a goal as well. So
yeah,
I don't know how you can really look past him. I mean, there was lots of players who played very well, like, because Almiron was giving them trouble all day long. He's getting in behind.
We kind of go away with the fact that Leicester were poor. They were not good. I know that a lot of players out, but they weren't good.
I wanted to pick up on Tielemans' performance in general, like specifically Tielemans' performance in the Leicester team. So, his performance in general, but also, like, let's talk about the transfer rumours that are surrounding Tielemans, because we're talking about how we need a midfielder coming in, and people are saying that he'd be the perfect fit because of his contract, I think. But I think we discussed it in the last episode, like, with feelings on him. But what did you think based on this specific game?
I don't think he had the players around him to. I don't really think he did anything wrong. Didn't do anything great, didn't do anything wrong. But I don't think he had the team performance around him to make him look.
So I think you can stand out. You can stand out amongst.
You can, you're right, definitely.
I thought that I was just looking at the Leicester's game before that. They played 3 days before against Gillingham in the Cup. Tielemans played, so I think that hasn't helped many of them, because it didn't look like they rotated. Definitely not what we did with 8 players. So I think what the lads mentioned earlier, they looked pretty tired going into it and didn't really recover, apart from a few spells here and there.
Even Harvey Barnes is a cracking player. He didn't shine either.
That's really quiet.
I mean, you can see he's a player. He was on the ball a lot, but he didn't shine. Didn't do anything necessarily special. Is that because, like George says, they're knackered from playing Gillingham? The atmosphere, the fact that we were actually battering them, did the half thought just sort of not hoy the towel in, but obviously get themselves frustrated, so they didn't have the confidence to play their normal game. I mean, I'd take. Go on, mate. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think in terms of the transfer rumours, I think he's proven that he's a cracking player over the years. He can
without doubt.
He's perfect age. I think he's 25, and the price isn't going to be ridiculous either, given the contract. So exactly. I mean, I wouldn't think twice about getting him. I wouldn't put him straight in the starting 11.
Yeah,
but
there's no right to be.
No, absolutely not.
But this is why I think. I was going to say this is why I sort of think Dubravka was hiding the shop window a bit, because he could well be part of a bit of a deal going on. But it all depends on how I keep the situation as well. Does Darlow stay? So that could be absolute rubbish. But like you say, Johnny, you could get him for a hell of a lot below his actual value.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, he's got 6 months left, so like I wouldn't mind getting him now if we could get him at the right price. And obviously, like, you know what Ashworth's like, you won't pay him more than he thinks he's worth for his contract that's left. So I can't see we're paying more than, say, 15-20 million if we wanted to get him now. But then if we don't, we could tap him up at the end of the season for now. Like, that would be an absolute fucking steal. Like, if obviously they'll be able to speak to any club, so the wage we'd have to offer him is probably, you're talking 150 grand a week. But if you're not paying a transfer fee, then it seems like a bit of a no-brainer. If we can, go for him. Try and get him for either cheap now, or I would happily have him in the squad. Especially, we're going to be playing European footballs in some way or another next season. We cannot be relying on like some of the players that we've got in the squad now to play even Europa League football. So I'd still like to get Tielemans, to be fair.
I think for me, I just think again he proved that he's like a bit of a dick. Like, I just thought he was the way he was on the pitch. Yeah, he just comes across like a dick. Like, I don't know if it's one of them though, where if he plays for you, you don't mind it.
I think he's ties out the pram a little bit, like.
Yeah, but then I don't know, just some of the stuff where you see, you know, like off the ball after a foul or whatever, like mouthing off a lot of players, and like he had a bit of a thing with Willock in the league game, which I don't like to see because Willock's young, but I guess Tielemans
hasn't that been spoken about though, that he's got a bit of a slight attitude issue? I'm sure I've read that somewhere, I heard it somewhere. I don't know if you have. I could be making
it's been said, but whether that's true or not,
whether it's true or not, yeah. I don't know what you mean though. Is he going to be the type of player who will lose the ball and then graft their arse off to get it back?
It's funny you mention that, because I'm sure there was a goal at the start of the season where like the ball had been lost upfield and the other team's breaking and they scored from it, and you can see Tielemans walking back, and it got highlighted at the time. And people were saying, like, oh, he's got a year left on his contract, he's checked out, like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I remember that getting highlighted specifically for Tielemans, like, early on in the season. So, if he gets put in... Aye.
Go on, mate, keep going.
No, I was going to say, like, if we do end up signing him, you know that Howe and Ashworth and everyone will have done the due diligence and spoke to him and made sure that, like, as a person... he's not going to disrupt the squad.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. We've got 25-man squad, and all 25 men will graft their arse off to get that ball back, or they'll put the shift in for Eddie Howe. If he didn't, he'd get hammered for it. It wouldn't be accepted. So you can sort of relax a bit with that. But like you say, they'll have looked into it. They'll have spoken to him as a person. They'll have said, "We expect this from you." And I don't think...
But he just wouldn't get played, would he? I mean, at Leicester...
Exactly. I was just about to say, he's not going to be afraid to drop him.
Yeah. Whereas at Leicester, it sounds like he could probably get away with it.
Yeah, they kind of have to play him, really, don't they? And before we move on to the final whistle, we have to mention Jamie Vardy coming on. Which he obviously missed a
very
good
chance.
Hey!
Could you see how
that was getting rattled around every single time he touched the ball? That was getting rattled around the ground. Jamie Vardy, your lass is a grass.
Could you hear it on the TV?
Yeah. No, I didn't pick it up. I didn't.
It was proper. It was so clear. Obviously, we're in the crowd, but it was sung so clear and so in sync. It was brilliant.
Yeah, when he missed that chance, you could tell he was getting that.
You had two. The first one was the worst.
Yeah,
he put someone wide. Across the goal. Sorry.
He's still got a bit of pace, like for.
He has.
He's definitely
he caused problems when he came on. He definitely caused problems for it.
We said, like, after that, like, why isn't he starting? Like, he was a real trouble when he came on, and if like. He hasn't been playing regularly, I don't think, so that might be wise. Obviously, his touch isn't great. But you'd think you'd put your money on Vardy scoring that first one. Christ.
I think that might be a point-proven tactic, but the fact he's, what was he, 33, 34? What was he?
35, isn't he?
36.
35, Jesus Christ.
36, is he?
He can clearly still do a job. You'd put Vardy on first to get you the goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not a player you don't want to bring on to rescue a goal. You want to get him playing, even for 60 minutes, and get a couple of goals off him, and then defend your lead. I think it's Rodgers saying, like, right, he's had his time now. I don't want to be the manager playing a fucking 35-year-old in the Premier League, relying on him to score goals. 100%, that's what it is, like, because he can clearly still do a job.
That's the thing. You've got Daka, who you've shown flashes of being like a decent striker, and you've got Iheanacho, who again in the past has shown that he had the potential to be a really good striker, but like none of them are. It's like he doesn't know who his best striker is, and he's trying to like rotate them a little bit, try them all out, and none of them can get in a like good, like rich vein of form.
Yeah, I can see it being Rodgers' last season at Leicester. Like I think
100%.
He's done a good job there, but I think like the ship sailed a little bit. The fans are probably getting a bit on his back. The squad's aging. You got players on contracts. Seems kind of a natural end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then they don't seem to have investment coming into it, really. I'm sure they're not really pumping any.
They reckon they're not a cash-rich club, or it's all tied up in assets and stuff like that. That's why they didn't sign anyone the last window, did they?
Yeah, they replaced Fofana, and that was it.
Is that what it was? Right.
Oh yeah, because he went for crazy money.
Yeah, like 80 mil or something. But from the owner's perspective, they've won the FA Cup, they've won the league in the last 10 years. If they wanted to do that again, they'd have to spend 300, 400 million. They're probably quite happy to be like, well, we've given the fans a good ride. We've won some silverware.
We'll just toddle along now. Yeah.
Just, And it's not even the same owner. Obviously, it's his son now, isn't it? So
yeah. And they've got a whole lovely new training ground as well. It's massive. They have put money in.
Well, yeah, just not into the playing squad, I guess. But they're one of them teams, though, like you're saying, if Rodgers goes, they've got players coming out of contract. And they've got other players which are obviously like Vardy's getting old. Maddison wants out. They could easily end up falling through the gap and being one of them teams that if they don't replace the players well and they don't get a decent manager in like the level of Rodgers, and if they end up going down, the fans aren't going to be happy we won an FA Cup a few seasons ago. So
that's true, right? Well, I'm not saying they're going to get relegated soon. This season?
Yeah, I think they could do, yeah.
This season?
Yeah, they're down there. I don't think they're too good to go down. They're definitely not.
Well,
little update. João Felix has been sent off.
What a debut.
Absolutely fantastic.
Have you seen that Willian scored against his old side as well?
I've seen that. And Koulibaly scored as well, so it's 1-1.
It's 1-1. Right. So, lads, we're in a semi-final.
Let's work on. The best fucking draw that we could wish for as well, by the way. How perfect is this one?
Yeah, this is I can't remember anything like this in my lifetime of a level of this opportunity. And we're playing so well as well. It's not like we've managed to get through in a semi on a fluke and we're probably going to get beat. So
we're that confident. Me and Pete have booked train tickets to Wembley for the final.
We've got train tickets and we've got the hotel wrapped up. Let's go.
I don't know if I can get on board with that.
Let's fucking go. To be fair, mate, right? I was talking to the lads at work, the Mackhams at work. And obviously they've been down now. They've been down to Wembley for the playoffs and stuff like that. Even the League Cup final, I think they won years ago when I think they played City. And I was saying, I'm booking this and that. You've got to, because if we, more for financial reasons, if we get through against the two legs against Southampton, them train tickets are going to quadruple. The hotels are going to quadruple over the final. So it's got to be done. You've got to do it. So many people have done it as well. Like the amount of people booking trains in thingies because we're so confident. We might be getting overconfident here. We may just need to settle down a little bit. But we're proper milking this, by the way. To be honest, the fact that I'm sure we all watched the game last night. Southampton battered City, but City were appalling. They didn't have their full strength side out, obviously, but they were bad. Although they did bring De Bruyne on, they did bring Haaland on. Do you know what I mean? They did bring some big guns on in the end, and they still couldn't do anything. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to semis, do Southampton fight for their lives for survival?
It's 2 legs, isn't it? So.
Or do they go for it's 2 legs, or do they go for the cup? Personally, I think they're going to go for the cup, mate.
The bottom of the league, though,
I know it's a hard choice, but it's not like Southampton. Jesus Christ, what are Southampton doing down there? It's like, I think a lot of people predicted it. So it's like, well, do they... Well, you wouldn't want to hear this. You wouldn't want to be a Southampton fan thinking, we're just going to... Right, we know what our fate's going to be. We're going down. We'll go for the cup. You obviously don't want to do that, but they've got to prioritise one, surely.
Then it's going to be the league. It's got to be.
For the financial reasons.
For the financial reasons, for the manager. It's his first job in the Premier League. He's not going to want to go down on his first management job.
they're only 3 points off, like, out of safety. So it's, I know the bottom, but it's not like, it's like they've got one win.
They're not adrift.
They can get out of it. No.
And also, alluded to it earlier a bit, I think, with going out the FA Cup, we've now got a free weekend in between the 2 legs of the semi-final, whereas Southampton will have an FA Cup game now.
I love it when the plan comes together.
So we're going to have
fantastic. Fantastic.
And you couldn't have picked a bet, like, I think if you hand-picked who you'd play and then play an away first, I think that's what you would have picked. Second leg at St James's Park. I think we'll even lose at Southampton, which I don't think we'll do. We'll come back to St James's Park, it'll be fucking rocking. I can't see how we'll win that game.
I don't think we'll lose either leg at all.
I'd be surprised.
Would you take a draw for the first leg?
Yeah, I'd take a draw for the first leg. Definitely.
You'd take it because when, like, look at our form at St James's Park this season.
Yeah. Like I say, the place will be absolutely bouncing at home. But it's just worked out so perfect for them, man. It has. And it's like, what's this? Is it the first time in, was like 60, was it, it's like 60, no, since
1976, I think it was.
For the League Cup, isn't it? To get this far, it's just class, man. It just shows how far this squad's came. But, I mean, everyone's getting carried away. Fuck it. We've had no success for so many years. Fucking bollocks to it. Enjoy the ride.
Why not?
Enjoy Southampton Man U in London, guys.
There's no sat in the stand like this. Fucking hell. But, we can't get carried away, but can't wait for the open top bus parade.
I've seen that tweet. So let's finish this episode on this question then. I'll pose it to each of you. Can we win the cup?
Pete, what do you reckon?
Is that a trick question?
No.
You best tell me, Ma, I'm not coming home for me tea.
Rest in peace, which one you said?
Of course we can win the cup. What a damn question. Of course why not? We're sat fucking 30% of the league. You know what I mean? We're sat 30%. We'll win the cup. 100% we'll win the cup.
Yeah, I think you're going to get the same answer in it. I think we will win the cup. I'm going to throw it out there.
Oh, there we go. One step further.
We're going to win the cup.
Yeah, I think we will win the cup.
George, well, why haven't you booked your train ticket down to London?
I know.
Your money where your mouth is.
Then train line.
Sam, are you back from Brisbane for the final?
I'll fly back for it, yeah. Fuck it. Well, you've heard it here first. We're going to win the Carabao Cup.
I mean, you've probably heard it in a lot more places as well.
Definitely didn't hear it first.
You've heard it.
It's definitely not the first time they've heard that. Listen to this.
We're the number one podcast for myself on Spotify, so.
For myself.
Yeah. Did you get your 2022 wrapped? 2022 wrapped and St James'pod is right up there. Having said that though, if you are listening to this and you've enjoyed it, give us a like. It does actually really help if you can like the video if you're watching it, or give us a follow on podcast platforms or a subscription on YouTube, and follow us on social media. It's at St James'pod everywhere. We'll be previewing Fulham in the next one.
Everywhere.
And John, I believe you're going to join us again for that one. So
I am indeed.
I'll see you all then. Thanks for watching, guys.
Wicked.
Yes.
I wanna hear you go.